another Tomb Raider is in the cinemas.
What?
It's a slightly different Tomb Raider lady.
Alicia Vikander, yes.
Miss Croft is back, but with a brand new story, and there are some similarities and differences to the games, which we are going to look at today.
That's right, and this is going to be extremely spoilerific. We're going to be way spoiling the movie, so if you do want to go into the film surprise, switch off now. Otherwise, watch on.
So one way it's very similar to the games, at least the current reboot, the Survivor timeline, is that we've got the new Lara Croft.
Yeah, it's a rebooted origin story kind of Lara, right?
Yeah, it's the same. She's got all the same skills. She's got her archery and everything. Yeah, right. But she doesn't get that till right at the end. Spoiler. But she does get that ice pick. And she's like, and she looks really cool with it.
And I'm sure anyone who saw the film spotted that twin pistols scene as well.
I'll take 2.
I slightly cringed through my seat at that bit. I found it a little bit like, ugh.
Well, the thing is, I think that was a little bit of a callback to the, remember the old film? Because she
Nobody
very
does,
much...
no.
I do. The whole point of the reboot is it's a different timeline. Like, there are now 3 Tomb Raider timelines in terms of the games.
Do you think the look of Lara in the film borrows too heavily from the reboot games?
I mean, it's copy-paste. It's exact like for like. I'm pretty sure you could get the game model and Alicia Vikander and it would look exactly the same. She looks great in that role and I think she holds herself really well. She's a great action hero acting person.
A very physical performance as well. Yeah.
It's
There's
very
a lot of
physical. There's a lot of, oh my God.
She does a good run.
Oh my goodness, she does an amazing run.
Yeah, oh man, it's all T-1000.
And there's a bit where she's chasing after these guys who've stolen her bag. As she's running, she does this noise. And I'm like, that's the noise I make when I run for a bus.
Yeah.
It's like, no, the desperation. I was like, I relate, but on a different level.
Someone who's stolen her bag. This sounds like a very low-stakes Tomb Raider movie.
It's right at the beginning.
It's right at the beginning.
She makes the error of going to another country, having no idea how to speak the language.
Some wrong ones steal her stuff. I thought a lot of the time through the performance, especially in the fight scenes as well, I liked how kind of vocal her performance was.
Yeah.
There was quite a lot of like shrieking in terror and anger and stuff.
Yeah.
It was a far cry from many action films, especially ones where they have like a female protagonist and it's very, very like overly cool and stylized. Like,
I'm gonna be amazing. But like, there's a bit like she's falling through something and she's just like,
exactly.
Yeah, that's how anyone would react. People complained a little bit about the rebooted series in the games, in that Lara does like go a little bit too much. But in the film, they kind of found the right balance, I think. Overall, I think it was good casting.
I would absolutely watch another Tomb Raider movie with Alicia Vikander in the role.
Yeah.
Whether they'll make another one, entirely another question.
Well, there's a bit of a kind of like, she kind of discovers who she is. It was a bit like at the end of the Assassin's Creed film where they're like, and there's more things to find out, and I don't think we're going to get another Assassin's Creed film.
Are we going to talk about the twist later, or should we do it now?
Twist later.
Okay,
twist
cool.
later.
Right. Cool.
I was in a very big screen and it was brilliant. But that was a Thursday, so...
Opened behind Peter Rabbit in the UK. Right. But hey, it is Easter. School holidays.
Kids' films always do well because parents are desperate to get them out of the house.
But then also behind, I think it was Black Panther.
It's going to be Black Panther, it's good.
Well, you say that, but it has been out for like a month. So you'd hope...
but it's that good.
I know. But you'd hope that...
It's a powerhouse.
Yeah.
There hasn't been a film like it. Literally, there hasn't been a film like it.
It's amazing, don't get me wrong. I love Black Panther and I wish it every success that it can get. But when it's been out for a month and you're a new action film and it's a Tomb Raider film, you should be able to get closer to it than Peter Rabbit.
Devastating.
And Peter Rabbit is James Corden. What is going on there?
Worst casting. What? That's not... He'd be Benjamin Bunny. Maybe. At a push.
Maximum.
Now, they've taken Lara from the first 2 games, but they've also taken the entire plot from the first 2 games of this series.
This was a little bit of a problem for me with the film, I think.
Yeah. My big problem watching this film was I couldn't fully enjoy it because all the time I was watching it, I was going, now is this from the first game or the second? No, okay.
Do you know what?
They've just done a little bit of a mashup.
Do you know what? I had a similar problem when I was watching it, going, I can't remember if this is Uncharted 1 or 2 with the thing. And then there was another bit where I was like, was that Indiana Jones? No, it's No, it's Temple of Doom is the room with the spikes. Yeah. It doesn't have an original bone in its body, does it?
No. She goes to Yamatai, the island of Yamatai.
Is that the same island?
In search for Himiko, and then...
Is that the weird, like, mummy witch at the end?
We'll go into... the differences a little bit later on because it's not exactly the same. The first game there's only like hints of Trinity, but in this Trinity is there also looking for Himiko because she's apparently a weapon.
Yeah.
They've basically taken the plot from the first game with Himiko and Yamatai, stripped everything else away, and then taken the plot from the second game, just taken Trinity, and shoved it in. Matthias is there. He's like the scary cult leader.
For a child, you've caused me a great deal of trouble, but you're just as naive and predictable. Kill her!
But instead of being a cult leader with the Solari Brotherhood, I think they are, and trying to like resurrect Himiko, instead of that, he just works for Trinity and he wants to go home to his kids. So I was like, but I liked the scary man. Like he wasn't a likable character, he was an interesting character.
A weird detail that he kept mentioning his wife and kids. I was like, oh, something's up, we're going to find out. But then at the end of the film, Lara just stuffs a poisonous finger into his mouth. And he decays, and I'm like, oh, maybe there was less going on there than I thought.
Yeah.
Lara, no remorse about not orphaning those children. It may have just been a very sort of like, how do we humanise this bad guy without taking up a lot of time that could be spent with Lara falling endlessly through a bit of old plane. I'm not complaining about that necessarily, but it was a little bit odd.
All of that meant that I didn't fully just immerse myself in the film.
Yeah.
Because I was going,
that's from that, that's from that, that's from that,
that's from that, that's from that. Whereas I think maybe if they'd just done a new story somewhere else.
Yeah. And the thing is, I'm not convinced it would have been that difficult to do a similar story that didn't have those characters and those locations and those exact things in it, because, you know, let's be honest about this, the plot of all the Tomb Raider games and all the Uncharted games and all the Indiana Jones movies,
same but in different backgrounds,
and all the 1930s films that the Indiana Jones were pastiching, like they are so in the mold of like go on an exotic adventure in a crazy location with some supernatural tomb stuff. Would it have been that hard to come up with a new one? So I think maybe that was a little bit of a misstep using actual locations, actual characters from the recent games, especially if it means that you, as a diehard Tomb Raider fan, could not watch it without going, that's from that, that's from that, that's from that.
While I was watching it, all I was thinking of two script writers in a room going and a bit of that, and a bit of that, and just wondering how the hell they cut around everything.
It's a difficult situation though, isn't it? I'm super aware that I don't want us to sound like ungrateful, impossible to please.
No, because
like,
it's not
game
bad
people.
Film. I was just like, had my issues with it as someone who I am so in love with the previous 2 games that I have played in the Survivor timeline. I couldn't fully enjoy it.
You couldn't leave,
even though like I thought it was, you know, a fun romp.
What's interesting about that is I am less of a Tomb Raider fan. I've played the first of the new reboot ones. Can't remember anything about it though, except that the boat sinks. I haven't played the second one. I found the film quite easy to relax into in that way. So it's interesting that based on this sample of 2, by cleaving very closely to the Tomb Raider timeline, they may have accidentally alienated Tomb Raider fans, who are presumably the ones they want to
other people said that they enjoyed it, so do let us know in the comments if you disagree, if you found it fine, or you liked the fact that they did different things. This is purely just how I felt watching the film, being a bit confused I was. So another thing that is borrowed heavily, as well as the plot, is some of the big set pieces that happen on Yamatai. The big one being the plane
the rusty old plane. Which game is that taken from?
It's taken from the first one.
The first rebooted one?
Yeah, but it's taken from 2 different plane set pieces. There's a bit right at the beginning of the first game where you climb up a plane that's hanging off of a waterfall and you have to jump off before it like fully goes down because you've put your weight on it. then there's another bit when she actually ends up like in the cockpit bit. And go off into the trees. And what they did is they kind of combined the two. She climbed across a plane on a waterfall, but on top of the waterfall.
Yeah.
And then she jumped out the plane with a parachute.
Which was impossible, but pretty cool.
It was really cool. It was very cleverly done. I really liked how, like, every time something bad started to happen again, there's a bit where she's like, no, like, just swearing quietly under her breath of being like, no, I've just done this thing, please.
That sounds like going back to what we were just saying about the plot. Yeah. Because I was watching that and going, oh, I've seen things very similar to this in a lot of games. But I guess because my memory's not great, I couldn't remember that I'd seen exactly that. I'm sure I wouldn't have enjoyed it so much if I'd have been like, oh,
I was just like, oh, it's like this, but a bit different. When she does do this very impressive parachute and she manages to get it work somehow, all I could think of was a really, really horrible quick time event death thing that happens with the parachute, which is like my least favourite in the games ever. I'm gonna show it, warning.
Here it is! Well, that was horrible.
She ends up like impaled on a tree.
In the film, she gets like Hollywood impaled. Like there's a bit of metal in her, but she's like.
Well, that's the tree. That's the tree bit, and that's
taken.
That's a mashup of the beginning bit where she lands on the spike, and then that's like your first action when she's not tied up, is you have to pull the bit of metal out of her. And I'm like, this is just all this, like, you're just doing it again, but it's a bit different. That makes me feel like it's a puzzle to be solved.
Right.
And it's really annoying.
I mean, I'd hate to break this to you, and there's a small chance it's not a puzzle to be solved, but maybe just the screenwriters were like, hey, that was good.
Yeah, let's just do that.
But there's no time to use two locations.
I play too many games, so I'm like, oh, there's an Easter egg. And I'm like, no, I just want to watch the film. But then you've also got the big boat bit at the beginning in the storm.
I have to say, I feel you there, because as soon as the storm started, I was like, oh, this bit I remember. Because I remembered it from the game. Also, all the promotion for that game or that Tomb Raider. I think the first bit they showed from that game was
that opening cinematic.
That opening cinematic with the boat going down. And I basically was like, I'm going to switch off my brain for maybe 10 minutes because something I've not seen before will probably be happening by then.
Yeah.
Little did I know that everything else was
It was quite impressive, which is impressive considering the boat is much smaller than in the game and there's only like 2 of them on it.
Yeah.
And, like you don't get like the ship cracking in half and all that sort of stuff.
It looks good though.
Special effects were great.
Some of those brilliant shots of, I'm sure we probably won't have anything to show this, but the shot where she's sort of in the water, in the stormy water, there's one of those shots from like a long way, but like beneath her with like
that was amazing.
Lightning flashes.
Yeah. Like they've copied like some of the lovely visual stylings of the game, and it transfers across brilliantly to the big screen. I think that was really good. So another thing that happens in the film is they raid a tomb.
Oh, they raid a tomb! I wish there was a phrase for that.
Yeah.
But there isn't, sadly.
No. But it was basically Indiana Jones.
Yeah, sure. It was, it's actually quite early on in the movie, which begins as all games and movies in this genre must, with an old telling of the legend, with the scrolls and the illustrations, and they say, this mysterious thing happened somewhere in the past in a different country. As soon as they mention, like, they say that there are 3 trials, and I'm like, oh yeah, Jehovah is spelt with an I, because these 3 trials, I recognise them from the Last Crusade. And actually, the borrowing there is extremely heavy, because there's even a bit where they have to like cross that pit.
Chasm,
There's a chasm, and in Last Crusade, there's a bit where Indiana Jones figures out. Yeah, it's an optical illusion, and he scatters sand to reveal that there is actually a narrow bridge across. In this, they just put a ladder on it. If only Indiana Jones had one of those high-tech mercenary ladders. And there's a side-on shot of the chasm that is very immediately popped into my mind. I don't mind that stuff because I love Indiana Jones. I love all those tropes. The whole adventure-y, mystical adventure genre is just basically eating itself and regurgitating itself constantly. So I didn't mind it, but yeah, as soon as you say 3 trials, you're like...
I was like...
I gotcha.
Is there going to be a holy grail at the end?
Well, the thing is, like, I remember thinking, there probably won't be a grail at the end, but there definitely is going to be a point where the bad guy is like, don't be such stupid wusses, you people who believe in the paranormal. Let's get this coffin lid off. Oh no, unspeakable help. The tomb raiding, though, I thought it was good. It was good that she went in a tomb and raided it.
Yeah. It did annoy me slightly that she didn't get to just go on her own, because she's kind of like a hostage and she has to solve the puzzles for the people all watching.
Yeah. Like
so there's not that kind of like, oh gosh, she's on her own and she's got to figure a way out.
There was never a point, really, was there, where Lara was alone? There's a point in the middle where there's like an extended action thing with the plane, and then her symbolic and important first kill. Yeah. After that, whole lot more killing. Seems a lot easier. She like chokes this guy out and drowns him in a pool.
That was the other thing we could have added to the first point, is that she does the whole murders a guy, but she doesn't shoot him because it's a 12A. Yeah. So she drowns him instead. That's better.
Fine. That's fine. That's a Hollywood slaying. It's fine.
And then after that, she's like,
yeah.
I'm like, okay. So like she's just in this tomb with these guys. A fight breaks out and she's like reaching for guns and trying her best to like, she axes a guy in the like chest.
Total murder machine.
But there was a bit though, I got really annoyed and I was like, I wanted to shout at the screen, which would have been amazing because I was on my own in the cinema. I would look really weird. She's chasing back after the bad guy and he's making it back across this ladder bridge that they put across the chasm. Yeah. I was there, I'd be like, go like that with the ladder, and then he falls off.
Yeah, she like runs and jumps onto the side of it.
But then she runs and jumps onto the side of the ladder, which has been established in the previous thing to be a little bit unstable. And then she like kicks it away when they're both on the same side. I'm like, But then she gets to do the iconic jump with the axe and climb up, and that reminded me of the beginning bit of Tomb Raider in the first one where she's like scrabbling up.
I was thinking actually through the film they may as well have painted some of the bits yellow to illustrate what were climbable walls and stuff. It was so video gamey. I felt like the whole way I could have just been like pressing X to like advance to the next scene, you know. But not necessarily a problem.
No, it was fun. It was very true to the feel of Tomb Raider, but
so true to the feel.
Also a little bit different. So now we're going to move on to the ways that it wasn't like the games. And this is the bit where it gets interesting for me. So first off, there's a bit of film fluff at the beginning in that you see Lara running around London for a bit.
Did you not like that?
I liked it. I thought it was fine. I was like, good, it's going to be a bit different. And then they went to exactly the same plot as the game.
Yeah.
But like, I was like, this is cool. I really liked as well, I think you were saying about how it's really funny that like the illegal street races that we have in London are just bike ones.
Yeah. Lara gets into that sort of like Tokyo Drift illegal street race or something because she needs the cash, man.
She needs the cash.
But it's like you do a cycle across London with a little foxtail stuck on your bicycle.
And no one has to grab it.
For £600, which is a lot of money, but you know.
But yeah, I really enjoyed the little scene where they're going around all East London. Of course, she lives in Shoreditch, of course.
Yeah. And also
goes past Box Park. I'm like,
not important.
Shoreditch, but she doesn't have much money.
Yeah, not important, not worth getting into. But if you watch that film and you're like, yes, she lives in the slums of London, we're like, those bits. Telling you, man, you can't get in there. The city owns it now.
Yes.
I thought that was a really interesting subversion of the Lara Croft character when the film opens and you're like, okay, so she's got all this wealth waiting for her in inheritance, but at the moment she's
poor.
She's like she's a Deliveroo driver and living paycheck to paycheck a little bit. Obviously, that slightly rings false because she does have this enormous fortune that she can.
She just refuses to take it because like my dad's not dead.
Yeah, because it would mean saying that her father is legally dead and she doesn't want to let go. But for the time that it was on screen, I was really digging that. I was like,
that was great. I also liked how in the chase scene there was some really good music that they were using. There was like an example track, and I was like, this is so London. This is great.
Yes,
absolutely loved it. She does have a London flat in the games. That is true to the games.
A little pied-à-terre.
Yeah, a little place on the side because she wanted to get away from the memories of Croft Manor. Yeah, it was just like, this is cool. Okay,
I liked it.
I like seeing
all
the
the stuff
thing.
in London.
My favourite bit as well was when she goes to Croft Holdings, which is like the big company that family owns. The bloke at the desk is like, courier's around the back, like it's really rude to her.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm not a courier. Well, I am a courier, but I'm here to see someone actually. And he's like, all right, what's your name? Lara Croft. And like, and it's just the... He just does that, like, and that got a laugh in the cinema. That was the one bit that got a laugh in the cinema.
There were no bits that got a laugh in my cinema. But I have to say, that bit slightly rankled with me. I thought it was an alright line, but at that point I was like, no, it's alright for Lara to be a courier.
Yeah.
That's fine. I sort of felt like the message of that scene was like, this idiot guy didn't know she was rich, or he would have treated her better.
I think it was
but
like...
I might be reading into it too much, I probably am.
It could be read like that. You've always got to be careful with a scene like that. But she's still like, I'm a courier, but I also have the right to go. And like, she doesn't kind of go, oh, okay, I'll smarten myself up or anything like that. Maybe now, like, because by the end of it, she's in charge, and so she can write the rules so the couriers can go anywhere.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Couriers run the building now. I did think that it was brave and interesting and cool that they immediately dived into the class aspect of the character, because Lara Croft is fabulously wealthy, and you know, as a sort of hobby, she goes to exotic worlds and takes their stuff. So you know,
or destroys it.
But yeah, I wish there was a little bit more of that in the film, but I liked what there was.
So another thing that they didn't take from the games is Lara's friends. So she's got people like Sam, Roth, and Jonah.
I'd follow you almost anywhere but that place.
I really missed her going, Sam!
I don't miss that.
Sam! It was kind of a single adventure, like a person on their own.
Yeah, quite contained,
journeying, but
single location.
It just meant that she kind of went from male character to male character, being like told, this is the next plot point, this is the next plot point. Whereas with the game, she was discovering for herself a little bit more, which was my kind of like thing of, ironically, because she has fewer people with her, she then has to depend on other people more.
That is a very good point. It's also something I hadn't considered. You mentioned that because there are fewer characters and because of just inbuilt problems in Hollywood, it means that Lara is the only woman.
Yeah, apart from Anna, who is like you should sign your dad's thing saying that he's dead. Yeah, and you know, surprise, the only other woman in it turns out to be evil. But I really liked the guy who she is with. Do you remember? With the boat, Lu Ren, who is played by Daniel Wu. He was very good. I thought that was a nice character. It's a bit different.
I like how he wholeheartedly accepted her quite quickly.
Yeah.
And then from almost immediately was very fiercely loyal and was like, I'll fight to the death for you, Lara. Which is how you would be, you know, if you met Lara Croft. She's very cool. Charismatic. She's, you know, natural leader. Yeah, there's a bit where they're like both tied up doing slave labour, and then he just gets a shovel, hits a guy, and is like, run! She's like, we were running?
Yeah, I think he was a good character.
But you missed some of the other friends.
I missed some of the others. In the original games, Lara is pretty much on her own. And then in the Legend series, she's got like Zip and Alistair. And then
People on the Ear.
The Survivor series, she's got her friends that she's like... They all constantly get like kidnapped and stuff. So she's running after them all the time.
It's good to hear your voice. Yours too, Sam. Is the rest of the crew with you?
No, I just managed to steal this radio off a guard.
A guard?
I've been kidnapped.
What?
But it was quite nice kind of having like a side character who was a pal. But I think they could have done more with him as well. I think he was quite an interesting character.
Saving it up for the sequel.
Yeah.
Check the box office numbers, folks.
So another thing that is different from the game is Lara's motive.
Right, okay.
Because in the game, everyone made the joke about, she's a gap year student.
Yeah,
she's on a research mission.
Here's the soon-to-be world-famous archaeologist, Lara Croft, in her native habitat. She's on the hunt for the lost kingdom of Yamatai, home to the fabulous Himiko, mythical Sun Queen, and ancestor of yours truly.
In this, she's desperately trying to prove that her dad isn't dead.
Yes.
So she goes to an island that she thinks he was lost. An island that in the games he has never been to in his life.
How does the dad stuff compare to the in-game lore? Ellen seems to have a lot to say.
Right, so Lara is going to find her dad. He's played by Dominic West, who's very good in it. He's a very good choice for casting for her dad. She goes to the island looking for him and finds him alive. When I discovered that she finds him alive, usually those moments are like heart-wrenching and uplifting and they found each other. Me, I was like... In all Tomb Raider timelines, all of them, her parents died when she was young.
Right,
Both of
okay.
them. In the Survivor series is actually a very sad story about her father. It's quite a heart-wrenching thing. So, like, to have this, like, he's alive, really, was just like, this is such a Hollywood thing.
And now he's kooky and a bit mad from being on the island for a long time.
And it also like meant that it wasn't just her adventure, it was her and her dad on an adventure. She couldn't just be a standalone, her discovering her own strength. She had to have her dad at the end telling her that, no, you're good, you're fine, you'll be fine, because he does, spoilers, die in the end anyway.
Yeah.
But she has to have her dad telling her that you're 10 times better than I was. Whereas she knows that in the game herself because she's just gone through a load of horrible stuff.
She's gone through stuff and she has more of that sort of self-motivation, I suppose. Or possibly even like she's doing that stuff despite the fact that her parents weren't there and she didn't have their like supporting, guiding hand in her young life. In the film she finds a tape left to her by her dad, and when she plays it, her dad's like, if you're watching this then I must be dead. Difficult tape to make for your child. If I was making that for my hypothetical child,
you'd be a mess.
I think there'd be a lot more emotions, and I wouldn't sign off by saying, I found the job I love. I hope you find a job that you love as well. And it's like, what? Who gives a crap about his stupid like hobby or work or job or anything? Like, how about just I love you, you're good.
In the first game, she is just, research. I want to look into this thing that I found out about. Like, she's the one that looked up Himiko. It's not Lord Croft. He researched into the Prophet in the second game. So in the first game, it's Lara finding out her adventuring skills, and then in the second game, she's going to like find out what her dad was looking into and finish his job for him.
But in all situations, her dad is not the one who's like steering her emotional development.
Yeah, no.
She does that herself.
She does it herself, and she's learning things. She finds things out about her dad. There's also, in regards to his passing, maybe it wasn't what she thought, and maybe Trinity had something to do with it.
Trinity.
So there is there's a good thing of him and Trinity being connected in this story, but that's it. Right at the beginning of the film, she has to sign the contract to say that he's been gone long enough that he's legally dead, and I can take all of his stuff and be in charge of all the Tomb Raider things.
Yeah, I'd sign that ASAP. Dad's not going to care. If Dad's still alive, he'll be chuffed.
But the thing is, what she does instead is she runs out and decides to try and solve this adventure, find her dad without
the
having
Croft
signed
resources.
Yeah, she sells her necklace. See Nick Frost. That's a nice little cameo I was quite pleased about. She goes through all of this to not say that her father is dead because she's like so sure he's alive. There's a DLC for Rise of the Tomb Raider where you literally look around Croft Manor trying to prove that your mum's dead so that you don't lose the house. It's the total opposite of game Lara. In the film she's like, no, my parents aren't dead, I'm gonna go on an adventure and then find my dad alive and all of this. And whereas in the game it's like, oh, I'm gonna lose my house, I need to find my mum's body. No, it's just like, this is she wouldn't do that.
Not canon.
I didn't
sign it, then go
understand.
find him, be like, good news, Dad's dead. Hey Dad, I'm in control of the company. You can be in control if you want, but no pressure.
Yeah, you can just keep adventuring if you want, you know.
Well, I feel like this is probably going to lead quite nicely into the final point.
Yes, the final point. Prepare yourself, Luke.
Okay, yeah, I'm prepared.
So not only is there a difference in Lara's motive, but there's also a difference in like the entire theme of the whole movie in regards to the supernatural.
Right.
So in the games, Lara is like, I don't believe this stuff is real, but a lot of this mythical stuff is based in reality, so I want to go to this island and learn more about Himiko.
And of course it eventually turns out that everything is ghosts.
Yes. And then you find out that everything is real, and she's got a huge army that is trying to kill everyone. She wants to take her friend's body and use her as a host, because the reason why there are storms is directly because of Himiko, because she's in a dying, decaying body.
What you're saying, Ellen, all sounds very expensive to film. Is there another way?
So No, instead, in the film, they find Himiko and then they realise, it was no magic. She just carried a plague that killed a lot of people.
That she was immune to.
She was immune to it, and so she locked herself away, sacrificed herself.
I'm not sure the biology of that makes sense.
No.
I have to say, I kind of liked it when they were like, oh, it isn't supernatural, it was a disease. And they're like, well, that's the disease, we'll want to weaponise that.
It's clever,
however,
but it's not too right.
Fine. And also there was a little bit of a cop-out because the disease sort of turns you into a little bit of a zombie. There's like a low-key zombie attack at the end. If it's just a plague, just make it a plague. But as you say, that is not in the spirit of Tomb Raider.
Instead of like
there are
a
ghosts
big
in Tomb Raider.
army of supernatural soldiers, you hear about the army of handmaidens. And it's just a lot of dead bodies that don't do anything. The whole point is in the second game especially, she's trying to prove the world that her dad was right about there being this supernatural thing because he's been lambasted in the media and everyone's like, oh, he's ridiculous for saying that supernatural stuff is real.
Yeah.
And she's in the game going, no, it is real. Look, I saw this on this island and now I'm going to go on another adventure and find this thing that proves that immortality is possible and blah, blah, blah.
I've been so blind, so naive. For years, I resented my father, doubted him like the rest. But he was right about so much. I just wish I could tell him that now. There are so many mysteries that I once dismissed as mere stories, but the line between our myths and truth is fragile and blurry. I need to find answers. I must understand.
He's like, I couldn't let them go because they're going to weaponize this mystical thing. And then they get there and they're like, oh, it's a plague. It was really underwhelming for me. It was so underwhelming.
That is interesting, and I would say that's been the consistent theme of...
me.
That's been the consistent theme of this discussion, is that I did not think it was a masterpiece, but I feel like I enjoyed it a lot more because I know less.
I still enjoyed it. It's not a bad film.
I didn't have a voice in my head going...
I had a constant... I had a constant, hang on.
Stop getting
what are you doing?
Lara wrong!
The potential's there to, have a cool Tomb Raider film, but as you say, that all sounds very expensive. And I was really sitting there in the cinema going, yeah, it was too much.
There's something else, is that there's a twist in the film, which when I was watching it, I was like, ooh, nice. And then about 2 minutes later, I was like, no, wait, that doesn't make any sense at all. Which was that Lara's on the island and she's fighting against this mercenary group who are on the island and they're sponsoring the dig, and they're the ones who are like in control of the research and trying to like weaponize this nasty thing. And then at the end of the film, it turns out that Lara Croft's family, Croft Holdings or whatever, own that company. And I was like, I should have just signed it at the beginning. She could have given them a ring and told them to stop. Presumably, as the boss, she could have been like, listen guys, word from on top, stop trying to weaponize the plagues. That was weird, wasn't it?
I was just like, as soon as they gave her the book of like, these are all the companies we own, I was like, they're going to be in there.
Yeah.
They are immediately going to be in there.
But it's like, I can't remember what the company's called because it's got some name.
Like Prima, Paxma, I can't even remember.
Let's call it
generic.
Tetra Pak.
Yeah.
So they sort of like, they own them but not Trinity, even though like Trinity controls them.
Yeah, well, I think they're Trinity under a different name, and I could tell immediately that it was Trinity.
You can't own a company under a different name.
Yeah, I could tell that immediately it was Trinity because it was a triangle and everything.
Oh yeah,
it was all threes.
They should have changed the logo when they changed the name. And presumably when Lara Croft's company acquired them or whatever. I don't know. I feel like that again was stuff that they were going to get into for a sequel, but what the heck was going on there?
Yeah, I forgive that scene though because Derek Jacobi.
Wait, Derek Jacobi was in it? Oh yeah, he's the of course he is, yeah. So do let us know what you guys think. Again, we only have a small sample size of two.
Just two of us.
So I'd be interested to know if you are a Tomb Raider super fan, like Ellen. Were you able to relax into the film, or did the fact that you have that stuff in your mind?
So many changes,
too
many similarities. I was a little bit torn.
It's a really, really interesting way for the film to have fallen, I think, because presumably this is a movie that is laser targeted at Tomb Raider fans.
Yeah.
I would be very, very interested to know if there are any other Tomb Raider fans out there who thought that by doing that and by taking a lot from the games, they actually maybe slightly tripped up and alienated those fans while pleasing the, you know, the minority of people who are going to see it who aren't that au fait with the games like me, who are like, she's falling out of plane. Yeah. But let us know what you thought in the comments, guys, and if you enjoyed this, then why not subscribe? And there we go. That. And we'll see you later.